So in the last couple of weeks, I've tackled some pretty heavy issues. Right? I talked about giving, which is always a favorite topic of preachers. I talked about the future of the church and LGBTQ inclusion, and I interspersed that with the possible crisis, farm crisis, right, and other stuff that's going on in our nation. And after all that, I thought maybe it was high time that I talked about something light, something cheerful, something full of hope. How am I doing so far? The raw emotion that we hear in both that Lamentation scripture and the psalm that we read together, it is thick. And it makes us uncomfortable. I mean, it should anyway. Did anybody else have a hard time reading the last line of that psalm? When we called for the joy of someone bashing children against rocks? That's kind of tough to read, isn't it? It's not really something you expect to hear in church, and it's certainly not something you ever thought you'd hear in the Bible or that you'd want to speak from your own lips. And I got to tell you, I almost didn't use these scriptures. I mean, they're neither light nor cheerful. And I didn't really want to do them. I was really tempted to skip these. I really was. I thought about what it would be like for us to say these things in worship, and I thought about the last couple of weeks, and I learned a long time ago, very early on, I was told that people come to church to get filled up, to be happy, right? To be filled with hope before they go. And there isn't any hope in these passages. So I set them aside, looking for greener pastures. And they haunted me all week. And so here they are. So if you were hoping for happy and hopeful, I'm sorry. But it struck me that these passages are too important to skip. In fact, they aren't even rare. The book of Lamentations, the entire book contains 5 poems of lament. And each one of them points to the pain that God's people feel as their lives are upended by the powers that are out of their control. They have no clear future. They have no sign of better things. Their hope is diminishing by the day. Anyone ever feel like that? No hope, no sign of better things? Yeah, I think we feel like that, Maybe we feel like that more than we want to admit. And maybe coming to church is an escape from that. That, we come to church to have a happy moment in the week. It's the one place where we don't have to deal with the crud of the rest of the week. And that's certainly fine. And I think that's kind of how we're perceived from the outside as well. It's not quite right. What I actually hear is that everyone at church already is perfect. Or they think they're perfect anyway. And I can't come to church because I can't be perfect. My life is crap. So I'm not worthy of God's love. Now, of course, if we're honest with ourselves, then we'll admit that we don't come to church because we're perfect, right? We don't. We know this. We come to church because we aren't perfect. Our lives are a mess, and yet often when we come, we project perfection. We hide behind the word fine. How are you today? I'm fine. Which is fine, of course, if that's how you're really feeling. But what if you aren't? I mean, what if your life is barely hanging on? Is it okay to be not fine? I think that's what these scriptures are telling us. You see, the people in these scriptures are not fine. They're anything but fine. one does not dream of bashing kids' heads against the rocks if they're fine. So, surely these things aren't okay with God. That God does not want us to do that. God doesn't tell us to kill kids and be happy about it, right? So of course God isn't advocating for the killing of children, even if they are the enemy or the enemy's children. We're not supposed to do that. How did these things even get into the Bible in the first place? They serve a valuable purpose. See, these passages show us that we don't have to be perfect when we come before God. And that's good news, isn't it? That you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have a perfect life in order to be worthy of God's love or ours. Now, I know that there are times when it still seems too much, and you might say to yourself, if I go to church today, people are going to ask me how I am, and they don't really want to know. They don't want to hear that I'm depressed. They don't want to know that I'm dealing with all this stuff and that I don't feel worthy of love. They'll ask me how I am, and I'll have to lie. So maybe I shouldn't go. Maybe I just don't belong until I get my life together. But these scriptures give us permission to come before God even if we're carrying any baggage. They show us that God values the way that we're feeling, no matter what that feeling is. It would be hard for us, no matter what we're feeling, to top the feeling of killing children. Now, the poet who is writing Lamentations points to the people as the bad guys in this, right? Looking for blame, which we often do when we're at our lowest. The poet says, "Certainly the Lord caused her grief because of her many wrong acts." God did this thing because we messed up. Perhaps you've said that. I lost my job because I haven't been faithful. My house flooded because I didn't give enough to the church. We say these things sometimes. At the same time that we blame ourselves for our bad behavior, we also turn our anger toward God. How could you let this happen to me, God? I mean, haven't I been faithful enough? Haven't I gone to church enough? Aren't I a good person? God, it's your fault this happened. You did this. You took my joy. That's the feelings that I'm hearing underneath the author's words. With these passages being in the Bible, God is saying, bring it on. Bring your feelings, bring your anger, bring your hate, bring your grief, bring your rawness. Whatever you are feeling, bring it to me. Bring it. I can take it. Be real with me. Be real with each other. Be real. No matter what real is, be real. We'll do this thing together. And that, to me anyway, is a relief. It's a relief to not have to bury those feelings. It's a relief to not have to hide behind the mask of fine. If you're happy, fantastic. If you're not, bring that with you. Bring the pain with you. Bring the anger with you. You don't have to check it at the door. It's not baggage that you leave behind. God is big enough to handle it. And we may not know how to handle it, but we can help each other figure it out. We'll try, at least. because that's real. Real is, maybe not having the answers. Real is admitting that we may not even know where to start. But real is also walking together through the very real feelings that are a part of life. Real is sharing the joy and the pain. Real is listening to words meant to provide comfort, but also words meant to convey the anguish of people whose lives are devastated. Because God wants our real. And we need real. We need a place to be real, a place to drop the cover of fine if we don't feel fine. This is the place for real. Thanks be to God.